Let's get an expert view. We've got Kranthi Bathini joining us this morning, equity strategist at WealthMills Securities. Good morning, Kranthi. Pleasure having you back with us here on News9. Just tell us, are markets waiting for something? Are markets really trying to understand all that's happening in the world? What's really going on? Because it's very hard to find a direction, one way or another, positive or negative in the markets right now.
Yeah, Kartik, you're absolutely correct. The headline indices have been in a consolidation phase. The follow-on buying is not coming at the higher end of the market. That is above around 25,500. But 25,000 level is a psychological and a sentimental level for the market. As long as the market is below 25,000 level, you can see some kind of a subdued activity in the markets in the medium to short term. Market have expected some kind of a rate cut, but in somewhere or the other, some relaxation of the norms for lending in terms of the IPOs and also the infrastructure lending is concerned, RBI could able to deliver some kind of a solace to the industry. But there was a lot of impetus on the market with respect to MPC is concerned. There would be a rate cut between 25 to 50 basis points. That's where the anticipation from the street. But the rate cut we have not witnessed. But the commentary is quite positive. Okay, they are in a wait and watch mode, and if in the next subsequent, they have not ruled out any kind of a rate cut in the upcoming monetary policies that is going to be scheduled in the month of December around. So at this point of time, by and large, the market sentiment is by and large market sentiment is neutral at this point of time. Still, the global tariffs and geopolitical issues have been weighing on the market. The foreign portfolio investors continue to be the net sellers at this point of time. So this is the reason the headline indices are in a consolidation phase, but majority of the action is in sectors and stocks at this point of time. You need to be a real stock picker in these kind of markets. Last 1 year have been to make any kind of a good quality returns in this kind of market.
Stay with us. We also have Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman speaking live right now at the at the Kautilya Economic Conclave 2025 on the theme of seeking prosperity in turbulent times. I think let's just listen in to what the Finance Minister has to say before we come back to you.
A contested equilibrium allowed nations to pursue prosperity through integration and interdependence. That equilibrium has inevitably been appended, and the rules of international engagement are being rewritten. Stating that the present is turbulent, in some sense, would be an understatement. The scale of the challenge which is in our hand is rather too big, so we will be understating the scale of the challenge at hand. What we face is not a temporary disruption, but a structural transformation. The question, therefore, is, and this is something on which I will request the gathering to ponder and come out with some answers, because none of what I'm going to say are answers to the problem which are in our hand. But problem exists and we'll have to find solutions. So the question is, what lies on the other side of this transformation? If indeed this uncertainty, if indeed this not temporary disruption, but indeed the uncertainty is a structural transformation. And I would like to put it in that, in those words. And if indeed it is structural transformation, what lies on the other side? What will the new equilibrium look like? And who will shape it? And on what terms will it be shaped? These questions are not easily answered, as this equation has to be taking into consideration very many variables, not just a few, but many variables. Shifts that
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman there speaking at the Kautilya Economic Conclave and really mentioning all the uncertainty in the world that we are seeing right now, not being a temporary phase but a structural change, a structural transformation. Kranthi, what do you make of Finance Minister's latest comments that we just heard? She's talking about the disruptions, the uncertainty in the global world, and of course we are discussing it pretty much every day on what's happening in the US and what's happening everywhere else in the world. The fact that these may not really be temporary disruptions but could be structural transformations. What are your views on this?
Yeah, Kartik, there is definitely a change in the structure of the way the world has been going through. The system has been changing. It's more about the introvert and protectionism has been going up, and the countries like the US, where the democratic country and a free economy is having such a kind of a tariffs is changing the complete order of the world. That's where the policymakers across the globe, they have been concerning at this point of time, and they have to align with the changes in the structural changes. So whenever these alignment comes in, there would be a turbulence would be there. That's what the finance minister has been addressing at this point of time. That's what the title also, seeking prosperity during the turbulent times. So we are going through that phase, and we have been witnessing those kind of a turbulent phase in India also at this point of time. We need to see the real impact of this turbulence and the tariffs in the next coming quarters. But by and large, we are, if you ask me, Kranthi, we are insulated. Some part of the sectors have been insulated, but still we are vulnerable for these kind of turbulence across the globe, the friction we are facing at this point of time.
Right. I want to pick up some sectors this morning with you, Kranthi, and of course in the context of turbulence that Finance Minister is also speaking about. The pharma sector seems to have at least recovered now from the initial pain that we heard late last week with the 100% tariff that was imposed, and the data and the sort of projections coming from the government at this point suggesting that we could indeed be touching about $30 billion worth of exports to the US, up from $27.5 billion. So the pharma sector may actually see growth in exports to the US, and even overall the pie of India's pharma exports seems to be increasing. So are those initial jitters that we saw late last week now pretty much set to an end, and is this pretty much, you know, the end of the worst that we've seen for the pharma sector?
Kartik, I don't rule out, okay, President Trump is Trump, okay, the nature of his policy making is completely uncertain always, but right now, whatever be the tariff they could able to impose, it's more on the branded, because of the Indian pharmaceutical sector is by and large the generic. So the impact is minuscule. There is absolutely no impact at this point of time. But if the Trump administration goes on generics, that's going to have a major blow on Indian pharmaceutical sector. But I don't think so. He is going to go any kind of tinkering with respect to the generic medicines are concerned. But you know, the Trump is Trump, okay, his administration, they could able to do any kind of changes in the coming days. So the industry is crossed their fingers how it's going to be. But there are some kind of a segment, there are chronic, non-chronic, critical and non-critical. So there can be a section of differences with respect to the branded and generic medicines are also concerned. So, right. But always the industry has to get ready for any kind of impositions from comes from the this administration.
Right. I agree with you on both the counts, in fact, Kranthi. The fact that that perhaps there could be something that Trump does, Trump being Trump, he does something on the generics as well. But I also understand that it would not really be in the interest of American citizens if Absolutely. There was a further tax imposed on the generic drugs category as well. I want to quickly also touch upon the FMCG defensive pack here. And the defensive pack really seems to be playing on the defensive and perhaps waiting for the 25 basis point cut that never happened. But overall, despite the GST cut, despite, you know, all the momentum on India's consumption that we keep talking about, the FMCG pack also, at least this week, has largely been in the negative. What is driving, you know, the investors away from this defensive pack right now?
Kartik, yeah, you are absolutely correct. Okay, they have been in a consolidation phase, then subdued performance in the medium to short term, despite of the big announcement and euphoric mood of the FMCG space is concerned. The initial update that came from Hindustan Unilever, the business updates, what they have been mentioning is, with respect to the GST cuts are concerned, that's not, they are in a wait and watch mode in the initial stage. That was the reason the business impact is on a positive note. The initial phase is very less. That's where the market is slightly concerned how this GST reduction is going to have a incremental impact on the sales growth is concerned. So this is the commentary that has been weighing on the FMCG sector in the medium to short term. But we can expect, coupled with the GST reduction and also the festive season is concerned, most probably that the entire this euphoria has to transform into revenues. That's where the street has been waiting. But by and large, they are insulated at this point of time. We can expect some kind of a positive performance in the next coming quarters.
Right. Thank you so much for all those inputs. As always, Kranthi, pleasure having you here with us.